Hello everybody, my name is Big Citrus and let's get into it. So here we are yet again. Another Apex season is here and it is time to enjoy all of the new things that are coming along with it. We got a new map, a new character, and of course a new weapon. And that got me thinking. When I remade What Your Apex Legends Main Says About You for Season 10, I was like, alright, well, we're getting a new weapon with this season as well. Let me go back and watch my original What Your Favorite Apex Weapon Says About You video. And oh my god, this video is so outdated and terribly wrong. Genuinely, I'm surprised it even has 100,000 views. Like, actually, I got so many things wrong in this video, and I am matured as a person and as an Apex player, and I feel like it's time to right some wrongs. If you're new to this series and this channel, hello, you're amazing. Leave a like and a subscribe, or else the Mafia will kill my parents. And essentially how this series works is I take a look at what your favorite weapon is in Apex, and I make assumptions on you based off of that, and basically talk about what kind of a player you are, how you relate to Apex, what kind of person you are when you play. And remember, like I always say, stereotypes are not always 100% correct, but they do exist for a reason. If you guys want to keep up with updates about the channel and, you know, just kind of talk to me and chat with me, join my community Discord and follow my Instagram and Twitter in the link to your description below, and let's get into it.
Eva 8 here. Range shotgun. Fully auto.
Okay, so the Eva is a lot of people's personal favorite weapon, and I 100% understand it. I would say, like, almost out of every single gun I talked about in my last video, I did Eva the most wrong. I said, oh, it's just inferior to the MASTIFF. The MASTIFF will always be the #1 shotgun. Which, let's be honest, as good as some people are at the MASTIFF, the Eva is just the best option. In terms of pure consistency and just overall DPS, this gun's incredible. I noticed out of most players who actually consistently use shotguns, the really good ones tend to use the Eva. Like, yeah, there are some people who are absolutely insane with the PEACEKEEPER, but most people just tend to stick to the Eva. I wonder if other players who use shotguns don't really get as many kills and wins because they're just not using the Eva and just realizing how superior it is. With how good it is, I don't even see that many bad players who use it. They're usually just using the MASTIFF. Most people who use the Eva always try to take close range fights and always just try to wall bounce and then just jiggle crouch peek you. Just things like that with the Eva, and will play doors 100% of the time. They will religiously search the map for a purple shotgun bolt. You're probably someone who's been playing Apex for a long time. And let's be honest, you probably never used to use the Eva, but you do now, and you have been because it has been the best shotgun in the game for a little bit now.
Wingman here. Slow, but it's got serious stopping power.
Ah, the Wingman. The connoisseur's choice. Let's be honest, the Wingman is definitely not as good as it used to be, but it is still pretty good. Ever since it lost Skull Piercer, it's kind of gone down a bit. Honestly, this is the one I got the most right in my last video, so I don't really have much different to say, but let me just repeat it. There are two types of Wingman players. There is this guy, and then there is this person. And there's no in between. Like, if you're someone who's just average with the Wingman, probably rarely pick it up, and you just tend to use, like, full automatic weapons. And if you're someone who's really bad with the Wingman, it's because you want to be, like, your favorite streamer and try and hit those sick, just, like, you know, one taps on kids from across the map and just absolutely destroy kids with just one mag of a Wingman, drop a whole squad, and just, you know, upload that to your TikTok or whatever and plug your Twitch. Or you're someone who is legitimately a pro player. Like, I feel like if you use the Wingman consistently, you're someone who's probably at least diamond or above, and you use the Wingman almost every single match. Might be one of those people who's just using the Wingman to try and make your aim better. Like, you're just forcing yourself to use this hard to use gun so you can actually improve. I know I did. But you're almost definitely someone who likes to go for crazy plays and is probably a pretty cool person and teammate.
R99 here. Crazy rate of fire. Eats anything you run it.
The R99. Alright. The R99 has been an incredibly common choice in Apex for a long time now, but for the most part, I feel like it's mainly just people who want to be like their favorite streamer, kind of similar to the Wingman, and will literally just carry 500 stacks of light ammo if that means anything, and they'll be asking you for light ammo the entire match because they're either A, killing everybody in the lobby and hitting all their shots, or B, killing literally no one and missing every single shot, and literally requiring you to dump light ammo to them like mama bird into their mouth. It's a horrible process. R99 users are the people who really like the R99 because of the amount of bullets it can spit out at one time, so they either use this because they're an insanely good player who can literally beam you from across the map with an SMG, and they just love the DPS, or there's someone who uses it to kind of, you know, compensate for the fact they can't hit many shots. So the 2 shots they do hit, you know, they're real proud of, and they just have an entire inventory full of light ammo and they just keep chewing through it. They're probably someone who has been playing Apex for a long time and hasn't really switched to the Volt yet because the R99 is ultimately their favorite. It's a bit of a stubbornness, yes, but hey, I understand it. Either an incredibly good player or an incredibly bad one.
Longbow here, a marksman's best friend.
You know, I've seen the longbow really get a huge uptick in popularity recently. Ever since a bunch of pro players have started to use it, I have noticed that it has definitely become a much more common choice. The longbow has been good even after getting the skull piercer removal, and it is mostly used by people who would use the sentinel, but honestly their aim isn't as good. But they've probably been a fan of the longbow since season 1. Not only are they insanely accurate, but they always try to go for headshots no matter what. Like, yes, they might hit a body shot on accident, but they're always looking for that crispy headshot. This is something I notice about longbow users in specific. If they're a cracked longbow user, they basically just treat it as if it's a second shotgun. Just jumping into a fight, no-scoping you for 120, and then you're just like, huh. Do not underestimate someone who uses the longbow. Or the longbow could be just someone who's, you know, some kid and just likes it because of the name and because it's a sniper as they're firing at you from 500 meters away and they don't even understand what bullet drop is. And here we've arrived at the brand new Apex weapon, the CAR SMG. I think this one is definitely going to be used by a lot of people. This is going to be used by a lot of Titanfall fans, like in specific, like they're going to be playing Ash and using this gun only. I mean, a lot of people are going to be using the CAR because it is the brand new gun, and they're going to be like, oh, it's so OP, bro. You could use 2 different types of ammo and have any heavy or light mag. It's so good. It's so good. But if we're being honest with ourselves, it's not the best SMG. I would actually say it's probably the worst right now. It might get a buff, who knows, but I'm just going to stick to the Volt if we're being honest. But for people who really love it, yeah, die-hard Titanfall fan, they're probably going to be someone who is always sick and tired of running out of ammo on any SMG they use, so they stick to the CAR for that reason alone. This is definitely an intermediate player. Definitely someone with experience, not bad, but they'll never be a pro.
MASTIFF here. Aim down sight to choke the spread.
Okay, so in my last video, I said some things about the MASTIFF. These things were wrong. I know for the most part I corrected myself with Evo, but yeah, but I really need to talk about the MASTIFF. I said that it was basically the best shotgun in the game and everything else was basically just an inferior choice. I was mostly someone who was coming back to Apex right around Season 8, and I still thought in my head that the MASTIFF was the king of shotguns. It is most certainly not. The MASTIFF is definitely better now. I feel like the MASTIFF now is mainly the shotgun for people who like taking a slightly less close-range fight. They're a decent player, but if we're being honest, anyone who is actually an insanely good player is just going to stick to the Peacekeeper or the EVA. If it's your favorite gun, you are probably someone who has just been playing Apex for a while and kind of likes to go on a bit of a nostalgia kick, let's say, every time you pick it up. And just remember the OG Golden Care Package MASTIFF. So I guess that's the perfect way to describe the MASTIFF now. Good for mid-range fights, you know, good for mid players and mid overall.
L-Star here. Overheats, but what a beauty. Go ham with this thing.
So, here we are with the L-Star. Yeah, this gun got a hard nerf. I genuinely feel sorry for everyone who in Season 10 basically only used the L-Star. I know I use it a lot myself, and it was definitely in my top 3 at the time, but yeah, I'm not using this thing anymore. The L-Star is definitely still good, but it is not even a fraction of what it used to be at the start of Season 10, and I know a lot of people are not going to be able to adjust to that, and they're probably going to throw it off a cliff. There are still some things about the L-Star that are good about how it kind of compensates if you don't have the best recoil control, and I think a lot of people who actually like the L-Star will continue to use it for that reason. You might just be a Titanfall fan, or you might just be someone who has always used the L-Star and always likes it for its unique properties, and you will probably keep using the L-Star no matter what. Like, they could nerf it into the ground and they could literally just make it shoot potatoes at people and you might still use it. It seemed like in Season 10 everyone was using the L-Star, but now after its big nerf, I would not be surprised if it basically just became another weapon that people only really use when they literally have no other option. So if you see someone consistently using the L-Star, they're probably one of the most loyal people you'll ever meet.
HEMLOK here. One burst to break the shield, another to break the man.
The HEMLOK is definitely better after its hipfire buff. Like, I'm actually a huge fan of this thing. Boosted loader is also a big help with this. It has definitely risen up in popularity since Season 10. It's nice to see people using the HEMLOK again because it's one of my personal favorite weapons. You're probably someone who's a lot more tactical. Like, yeah, you could be having just like a full auto LMG like the Rampage, but you personally prefer the HEMLOK and its unique ranged versatility. You're probably a Bangalore or a Gibby player. I don't know why, they just like this weapon. It almost feels like the pretentious AR user. You really think I'm going to use that R3 or that flatline and let me use the HEMLOK? I'm sorry, that accent was horrible. I'll never do a joke like that ever again. I don't know, but there's a certain level of smugness to you if you use the HEMLOK. I think most people can understand what I'm trying to say. And for those of you who get what I'm trying to say out there right now, thank you. It's a good gun for sure, and people who use it are actually usually pretty good players, I can't lie. There is a lot you can say about people who use the charge rifle. Like, I could probably fill up this whole video just talking about charge rifle users. The charge rifle is for sure one of the best guns in Apex, and if we're being honest, it is the best sniper aside from the Kraber. Like, it's really good. But if we're being honest, most people who use it religiously are usually people who, let's just say, don't have the best aim and definitely love spamming. But I think most people who love the charge rifle know that they're being an annoying mosquito. Like, they love kind of just giving people false hope when their first shots only do 8 or 11 damage and then suddenly hitting them with 90, just like out of nowhere. They love toying with people and how they even use this thing in close range. A lot of people who use the charge rifle, they honestly just love the sound and the vibration from this gun. And I can't blame them. The power you have in your hands is just immense, and anyone who uses the charge rifle will tell you that it is probably their favorite gun just on design basis alone. It also helps that it is really good. But yeah, most people who use the charge rifles will literally just be carrying an entire fucking inventory full of sniper ammo. Hell, they might be using 2 charge rifles. If they find a 4 to 10 digi threat, it is over for you. You find these players at basically any rank from bronze to predators, so there's a lot of you guys. Y'all scare me. I hope it's okay with everyone if I kind of talk about these guns in the same vein. Like, I'll talk about them back to back just to kind of get it over with, but let's do the better one first.
RE45 here. Nice auto pistol for close combat. P2020 here. I grew up with one of these.
The RE45, if we're being honest, is not anyone's favorite gun. I know, hello, you, the one person who uses the RE45, I know you right now, you're probably screaming at me, telling me how you're so unique for liking the RE45, but let's be honest. It is actually not that bad. It is a hard gun to use, and it does reward you if there's someone who has good recoil control, but like, listen, there are a million better close range options out there, especially full automatic ones. So if you're using the RE45, it is 100% a personal thing. Same thing goes for the P2020, but let's just be real, the P2020 is worse. Yes, it got its change recently, and I do like it. I think it's definitely better than it used to be, but honestly, without a hammer point or disruptor rounds, both of these guns are really only for people who are being quirky by using them. You might like them from a design standpoint, I think they're fun to use, and yeah, I could agree with you, but if you're actually carrying these around 100% of the time, you are 100% doing it just to be unique. Look into your heart. You know it's true. Oh yeah, that reminds me of...
Mozambique here. 2 to the chest, 1 to the head. Solid shotgun pistol.
So, the Mozambique is no longer a horrible gun. In fact, it's actually pretty usable now. There have been a decent amount of players who legitimately like this gun because at range, it's actually almost better than the MASTIFF. But yeah, let's be honest, if you're using this gun, you're either someone who picked it up and started using it a lot incredibly recently, and in a way you feel weird about this, but you do like the gun, and you are going to keep using it. Or you're someone who has always used it because of the same reasons I mentioned with the P2020 and the RE45, but you don't really know how to feel about it now because the gun is actually a lot better, and there are actually people using it legitimately, and not just trolling. You don't know if you should feel good about this and finally accept it, or if you should be a hipster and gatekeep the gun. Who has any idea? Who knows?
Triple take here. The horizontal spread makes it easier to hit running targets.
The triple take. This is honestly one of my favorite weapons, and I am so happy to have it back on ground loot because in the care package, I'm being honest, I never really used it that much. The triple take is for someone who is a versatile dynamic player. They love to fight long range and close range, and they love the options this weapon provides because they can use it as a shotgun or a sniper, and that is incredible for that reason. They love it to pieces. They have been non-stop asking Respawn to put it back on the ground, and now they finally have it, and they're scared that it might go back in the care package, so it's probably going to be the only weapon they use. This is the definition of an above-average player. Like, yes, pros are definitely going to be using this, but I think they'll probably choose other options over it still. This is for someone who really likes what the triple take provides, and it's always been one of their favorite guns since day one. They're happy that it's an energy weapon again for sure, and happy that they don't actually have to look for sniper ammo anymore. And I agree. The Sentinel is an interesting thing. I notice most people who usually use the Sentinel are people who love sniping in no matter what game they play, and the Sentinel speaks to them. But being honest, most people who religiously use the Sentinel are pretty damn good. They acknowledge that it's not really a fantastic gun, but it is their favorite nonetheless. These are people who are actually usually really good with every single gun in Apex, but the Sentinel is their favorite and they keep using it no matter what. They live for hitting headshots with the Deadeye tempo charge. Like that is actually the reason they breathe. Without that, they just like straight up would not be alive. They are hoping that they do remove the Deadeye tempo and then ultimately just let it be actually how the gun works, just make it shoot faster when it's charged. I think that would be a great idea. Who knows if they'll ever do it though. Sentinel users are cool, keep them around. And honestly, the same goes for the bow. The bow is really interesting because when it came out, it was super overpowered. And then now it's good, it's fine. It's kind of like in the same vein as the G7 Scout, which, don't worry, I have opinions on that. We'll get to it later. But like, the people who use this as their favorite weapon are probably people who really don't play Apex super often. Like, they like it and everything, but they still are kind of hoping that it'll be as good one day as it was when Season 9 first came out, and honestly, hopefully that never happens, because that was ridiculous. They try to say things like, oh, well, it wasn't that overpowered. Look at this gun that is also overpowered. And, like, come on, dude. They feel the same way about the Sentinel's Deadeye tempo thing, and the same thing with the bow, like, it should just be the way the gun works, and they will always talk about it. But honestly, bow players are usually either incredibly accurate or incredibly just, bad. They straight up might just use this weapon because it is a unique weapon in the fact that it is a bow and not a gun, and they like doing their Katniss Everdeen cosplay. But yeah, who knows? The Rampage, a gun that I have yet to cover. The Rampage is, if we're being honest, a really good gun, and I mostly see it used by people who aren't very good at Apex. Like, okay, hear me out. It's like a full auto pseudo G7, you get what I'm saying? And people love it because, well, it's not very hard to use, but it is very good. I mostly see this used by people who just have a very hard time using any full auto gun long range, and they kind of know that. Also, I expect them to always be asking for thermite grenades and literally carrying them around all the time. If there's ever a situation where people are in a building, they're immediately going to try to pop a thermite and then open the door with the gun. Even if it's not the best play in that situation, they're going to do it just for the fun factor. But yeah, like I was saying, I think most people who use their Rampage know that they're not the greatest player in the world. But hey, they love it regardless.
R301 here. Versatile platform from close to long range.
Ah, the R301. I think the R3 has consistently been the best Apex weapon since it came out. Like, it's always been pretty balanced. Like, people love this gun and they love it for a reason. It is consistent, it is reliable, it is user-friendly, and it is very strong. And it's just such a satisfying gun to use. I could honestly just say, oh, you play Apex, because let's be honest, this gun is definitely like in everyone's top 5 favorite, but I don't necessarily know if they like it for any unique qualities, besides the fact that it's just really good. Like, you're never in a situation where like, an R301, I think I won't take it. I'll pass until I get a better weapon. Like, it's always good. I love the R3 genuinely, but in a way, it's almost like it's so good and everyone uses it to the point where it's hard to necessarily pin down a stereotype. You could be a pro player, you could be a complete noob, you could be someone who only plays Apex once every month, you could be someone who plays it once every day. Ultimately, I guess the thing I could say is that you are someone who does not take risky options and loves consistency. I mean, it's just one of the best guns. And then there is people who use the HAVOC. If I'm being honest with you, I personally hate the HAVOC. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know what it is. I genuinely just do not like this weapon. Something about the spray pattern, even with a turbocharger, I just don't like it. People who love the HAVOC are very odd. Like, they make such a big deal about the fact that, yeah, I use the HAVOC. It's actually my favorite assault rifle in the game. I like it more than the R3 and the Flatline. It's like, okay, dude, Jesus, I get it. These people are usually good players, I'm not even gonna lie, but I think most of them are honestly just hoping that the select fire returns. Will it happen? Who knows? These are definitely some weirder players. Watch out for them. Man, I wonder what this weapon would be like if it was good. And we have arrived at the Volt, which is basically everything the HAVOC ever wanted to be except a million times better. The Volt is very similar to the R301 at this point. Insanely reliable, insanely consistent, very low risk of using it, and a lot of people love it for those reasons in specific, so it's used by, well, pretty much everyone at this fucking point. People love the Volt to bits, I mean, including me. It's definitely in my top 3. It's kind of just been the best SMG ever since it came into Apex, even after its nerf. This is the ultimate definition of an amazing mid-range, but also great close-range weapon. It's like the Peacekeeper from Black Ops 2. I love it. I never have really seen someone who's using the Volt that is, like, genuinely terrible. You might be a pro player, hell, you might even be a bad player, but when you have a Volt, you go crazy. You always love to take close-range fights, and anytime you don't have a Volt, you're sad that you don't have one. Like, it just eats away at you. Honestly, you're probably a fan of, like, all energy guns, but also, like, all light guns. You just like the speed. Specific thing I noticed about people who, like, consistently only use the Volt is that they will overstock on energy ammo. Like, they will literally just have an entire row full of it. But yeah, no, for real, like, can we just remove the HAVOC and have the Volt in the game? Like, the Volt is literally just the HAVOC, but a million times better. Okay, anyways. It's on to the next weapon.
Prowler SMG here. 5-round burst, high rate of fire.
I mean, I can't even lie. The Prowler is a very good gun. These are people who like 3-round burst weapons in any game they play. These are usually players who have insanely good aim in close range fights and basically can hit every single shot, and they know that the Prowler's DPS is just ridiculous. A good controller player with the Prowler is truly something to be feared. They don't even care that the select fire is gone. Like, they don't even care that the full auto is gone. They just don't care. In fact, they prefer the 3-round burst. You can be sure the Prowler is one of the only guns they use.
Peacekeeper here. Good for close combat.
Whew, oh boy, the Peacekeeper. A lot of people's favorite shotguns, but mostly used by insanely good players. These are people who just love playing World's Edge streamer building and just charging up a choke and waiting on the zip line, just waiting. These are by far some of the sweatiest players you'll come across for sure. Like, no one uses this weapon anymore, mainly because of the whole 9 damage meme around it. But if you see someone using the Peacekeeper consistently, oh yeah, be scared. There are some people who try to be pro Wraith mains and use the Peacekeeper and the Wingman and fail, but sometimes we'll come across a genuine Peacekeeper user who is actually just a god and playing the game since day 1. Or you might just like it because it's a cool shotgun that charges up, who knows.
Flatline here. Kicks like a mule, but hits even harder.
Flatline users do not like this channel because I have specifically talked shit on the Flatline like a few times. Like, yes, it is pretty good, but honestly, from long ranges, I would rather just have something that's more consistent. I know its DPS is fucking crazy, and close range is an absolute monster, but I don't know, I just can't vibe with you Flatline users. Yes, I know, most of the best players in the world use the Flatline, and most people who imitate the best players in the world also use the Flatline. If they have the reactive battle pass skin, it's probably the only gun they use, especially full auto guns. This is someone who's honestly probably been using the Flatline for a long time, even when it used to really not be that great. They do miss the anvil receiver, but if we're being honest, they didn't really use it that much. This is someone who's a sweat and takes every single match seriously and always tries to win. Like, no fun allowed, they're just trying to go for high kill games. Probably mains on the sweatier characters like Wraith, Octane, Pathfinder. Probably a nice person, and they really want their Twitch streams to start popping off soon. Maybe one day.
Devotion here. Increases rate of fire over time.
The Devotion for a long time was my personal favorite gun in Apex. I don't know, just something about it with the turbocharger, like it just being able to just have like no brain and just spray out a million rounds in 2 seconds. I don't know, it just spoke to me. Someone who uses the Devotion almost for a fact knows that they're kind of being cringe, and they will literally throw the entire match just looking for a turbocharger. But hey, you can't really knock them for that. If they do get that turbocharger, they will be playing like their life depends on it. They will literally have it in their mind that they cannot lose, and they will be literally trying to suck off any morsel of energy ammo they can find. Probably a good player. Not amazing, but definitely good. And overall, just a fun person to play with. You know, the 30-30 repeater for the longest time was not that good. And now, it is pretty good. With the G7 Scout being in the care package, and yes, we'll get to that in a second, the 30-30 repeater has become a favorite option. This is someone who absolutely loves using semi-auto weapons in basically any game they play, and they somehow always time the charge shots perfectly. RIP Shattercaps. Probably a pretty good player, or someone who is just a boomer and likes the fact that yes, it is a repeater gun. Who knows? And now I saved all of the care package weapons for last. The Spitfire is probably someone who, let's be honest, is not the best Apex player. Most people don't even really like it out of the care package now and refuse to use it because it is such a cringe gun. But some people use it despite that fact. Like, it's a fine weapon. I get why people use it still when they find it in a care package. I understand. But you have to know that people think you're cringe, right? Most Spitfire users probably don't care and will keep using it regardless, though. The alternator is ridiculously overpowered. Like, this gun, I mean, who does not like this gun with disruptor rounds? It is the best SMG in the game by far. Maybe even the best gun in the game right now. Ridiculously strong. Very good. Like, what else can I say about it? It's really fucking good. When you hear the sound of someone shooting this gun, terrorizes throughout the entire map. It's just ridiculous, man. Also, if it is their favorite weapon, they're probably someone who always liked using it, and they missed that disruptor rounds were gone for so long. Then, of course, we have the Kraber. I mean, this is probably everyone's favorite care package gun. It's ridiculously good, satisfying as hell to use, strong as hell, and it is the best gun to go for crazy clips for. I mean, who doesn't love the Kraber? I guess unless you're someone who hates sniping and has no aim, I don't know. And for the final weapon, the G7 Scout. Okay, this one is personal. I was a huge fan of the G7 Scout on ground loot. I honestly wish that it stayed that way. They went and put double tap on it, which I'm being honest, I didn't even really like in the first place. And now it's on this gun, and I don't think it is the worst thing in the world. But I feel like this gun does not scream care package weapon to me. You're telling me you couldn't have reverted the bow back to how it was in Season 9 and put it in the care package? You're telling me that the EVA couldn't have been reverted to its Season 9 form and put in the care package? You're telling me the G7 Scout was the best option? You're probably someone who loved this. If it's your favorite weapon still, you're probably someone who just genuinely will miss it on ground loot because it was just such an amazing, incredible gun. Long range, close range, it was your favorite. And then now you only can get it out of the care package and the game feels a little worse. Sorry for ending it on a bummer note, but thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I really appreciate you guys supporting these kind of videos on the channel. Let me know what kind of videos like this you would want to make next. And of course, actually, comment down below. Anyone who knows me knows that I like replying and reading the comments. Thank you guys for watching so much. Join my community Discord, follow my Twitter, and follow my Instagram in the link to your description down below. And yeah, I appreciate it. And of course, have a damn good one.